Welcome to episode 625 of the Barcelona podcast, brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I'm Dan Hilton, and listen, against Bayern Munich, I started my 5 headlines without enough energy, but I'll start with a fun little story. In 2020, Barcelona lost 8-2 to Bayern Munich. They failed to win in El Clásico. It was 2-0, finally to Real Madrid. Lionel Messi, a few months later, winds up leaving the club with tears. I lost half of Patreon. I lost half my audience in certain places, and I felt like stopping to do the show. But I kept doing it because of weeks like this. 4-1 against Bayern Munich after crushing Sevilla a few days prior, then a 4-0 at the Santiago Bernabeu, where there is so much history. I feel like this 5 headlines could be an hour long because of all the little, hey, Barcelona made history in this way, in that way. You know I love my stats. You know I love my history. I'll have plenty of that as we go on. But before I even get to any of the headlines, I'll start with my pre-headline, and that is, this is awesome. It is awesome to be a Kool-Aid this week, and I want to make sure, just like you, I'm enjoying it. And I want to continue to enjoy this season. So to help me do that and to help me continue to do these things where it's not just a win, I can continue to take time away from other work to do stuff like this. Subscribing to the channel, becoming a Patreon. If you're new here, again, thanks so much for joining. Just giving me a little thumbs up, a like, joining the closed Facebook group, and joining the Discord where you can see all my content, see lots of stuff, read the articles, listen to the podcast in audio form or in video form. You watch them. All of that stuff helps me out even for free. But again, as low as $3, you can join me on the watch-alongs with a microphone and a camera or without a camera, and you join me on those watch-alongs. It's a good time. So again, without further ado, I want to enjoy this. I want to soak this all in. Maybe I need to talk a little bit slower than I usually do so we can all take a little more time just to take a breath and enjoy what we just saw. It's the 4-0 win against Real Madrid. Here are those 5 headlines. Headline 1 is Camavinga setting the tone. I know we end the story today with a lot of joy and a celebration and a fiesta to the highest order, but Real Madrid started this game on the front foot, and Camavinga was a huge part of that. I did think Carlo Ancelotti made a mistake by not starting Luka Modric. He had also started at 39 years old against Dortmund midweek, so I understand the rotation, but I did think that for Real Madrid, but they might have a little bit of trouble finding that space in between those lines of Barcelona. But I was wrong. Carlo Ancelotti is the manager of Real Madrid for a reason. He knows his team better than I do, because starting with a press led by Tchouaméni and Camavinga was definitely the right move for Real Madrid. They were overloading the left side as we expected them to do. In the second minute, Mbappe into the half space behind Cubarsí, and he and Vinny Jr. splitting Koundé. Mbappe wide with the shot, probably offside. That's going to be a theme. Maybe we could have a little offside counter in there if I had, again, more help and graphics and more people on my team. I would do those things. But Real Madrid, all you need to know is they start with a lot of energy early. 5th minute comes around, a really important punch out by Iñaki Peña after 3 straight corners, and I thought it was good for his confidence. It's a little bit of foreshadowing. I did write in my notes in the 5th minute that it was good for his confidence to control his box early. And yes, that did wind up paying dividends. 8th minute, Cubarsí intercepts the attempted through ball for Mbappe, so Cubarsí had his moments too. Camavinga, though in that first 10 minutes, was the best player on the field because Real Madrid's press was the best thing happening in that game, especially with all the energy that home crowd was giving them. 12th minute, long ball cut out by Cubarsí, goes right to Mbappe. Iñaki Peña off his line, but Mbappe was way too high. The other way, immediately, Lewandowski flicked it onto Lamine Yamal, but he couldn't finish either. So early warning signs for both these teams, but nobody on frame. And that was a big story for Real Madrid, especially in that first half. They had just 1 total shot in the game in the first half and none on target. And there's a lot of reasons for that, which again is headline 2. Headline 2 is Offside Aplenty. The pundits, global audiences, all they're going to do is talk about this offside trap because they should. There's some huge numbers here we're going to get into in a second. But first, let's go through some of the highlights. 15th minute, offside. Peña, this would have been the save of his career if it had been onside because he saved it off the line. It was obviously it was going in, but the fact that he was able to go backwards and had the fortitude and strength and the wrist strength and the finger strength to push that one out. I mean, maybe VAR doesn't call that one offside, even though kind of clearly was. But yeah, fantastic save by Peña. Even though it was offside, I want to bring that up that if he didn't have confidence from that punch out in the first few minutes, this would have been the one that said, hey, I'm good enough for El Clásico and I deserve to be here. In a battle of the backup goalkeepers, well, one of them led in 4 goals and the other one was Iñaki Peña. He had a few shaky moments with the ball at his feet, but he was as good as Barcelona needed him to be in this game. Next highlight here, I just wrote in my notes, Pedri, what a tackle on Valverde. Pedri, I thought, to a certain degree, neutralize a lot of what Valverde does well. He ran with him kind of step for step, didn't man mark him, but Pedri made sure that Valverde had to be more concerned with him, as Valverde usually does like to attack and push forward with the ball. But Pedri was swarming Valverde and did not give him the space he wanted to be involved in that attack. First fun stat, Madrid offsides 4 times in the first 21 minutes. Yeah, that means nervous energy for Barcelona fans, but I kept saying on the watch along, hey, the number that counts is the one up on the scoreboard. I know they're offside, but it's still 0-0. You play with fire, but this is where I go through what has started to become the theme of the season. It's high risk, high reward. And this team is good enough, talented enough, and organized enough that high reward keeps happening, especially this week. 21st minute, as I promised, Iñaki Peña was a little shaky, but he completes the ball to Cubarsí, who delivers an excellent long ball. And a few passes later, Rafinha misses the shot high from center. But it felt like at that point, very much like Bayern Munich, we're 21 minutes in, and Barcelona were trying to find the game. And I think they did a little bit more by that point. 23rd minute, though, Vini Jr., the best opportunity that Real Madrid or Barcelona had in that first half, misses one at the near post in transition. And at that point, Real Madrid must have felt like, hey, we're going to get 1,000 other chances just like it. But they didn't. And the fact that Barcelona were able to dodge that thing that could have been in the back of the net, that could have flipped the whole game on its head, and it didn't. Camavinga in the 26th minute, misses wide as well. Mbappe was offside too, so there's another one there for you. 28th minute, Pedri with the long strike. Inigo Martinez on the corner, heading it just over moments later. Those are 2 more opportunities for Barcelona. Both of those on target, as opposed to Real Madrid's chances in that first half, which were largely off target. The 30th minute, and it's time for the tactics board, because this could have been the 1-0 for Real Madrid. If not for the offside, yes, but I want to draw up what Real Madrid were trying to do here. I already kind of set things up from open play here. You see that left side? Let's just put a little box here. Usually, as people have been following along here since we had this tactics board on Watch Along on Big Up, you know that I've been calling it that little circle of fun, that little circle of excitement that Barcelona has when they're able to build up their attacks. But for this is a box of pressure, of doom, of destruction, whatever we want to call. Real Madrid are trying to get that ball into this box in some way and cause pressure, win the 50-50s. We're especially through Camavinga by putting him on the ball. Again, he's just trying to play in Vinicius or Mbappe, or if you get the cross in, that means Bellingham's trying to come inside of Balde. So if that 1-0 happens, it's because it's Mbappe, it's Inigo Martinez trying to play off his shoulder into that space and overload the right side on the switch. But really everything that Real Madrid is creating here in the first half coming from that little box and winning those 50-50s like we talked about against Bayern Munich. Because if you don't win that second ball, then Madrid were going to be off the races and need to be in a whole heaping amount of trouble. Bellingham also tried to come over here a little bit, overload the middle, as did Valverde. And then Vasquez, one time he kind of stepped up here and played a ball up over the top, a flick on to Mbappe. But outside of that, not too much from Lucas Vasquez in the game. So everything from Real Madrid coming through that left side. But again, it was all about the offside trap for Barcelona, which is why it stayed 0-0 at that point. The offside trap, incredible for Barca, especially in the first half. They averaged, that being Barcelona, 6.5 offsides per game in the Liga. Since 2017, or the VAR era began, the highest in any of the 5 big leagues was last season. It was Aston Villa at 4.4. So in the Liga, Barcelona has almost 2 more total offsides per game than the nearest team in any of the top 5 leagues in the last 7 years in the VAR era. 7 times in the first 30 minutes and 8 in the first half against Real Madrid. That is insane. That is a ridiculous number and does tell you the story of the game and why pundits should be talking about the offside trap. Fermin Lopez, he doesn't get into the second half of this game. De Jong comes on at the halftime mark, but I want to give credit to Fermin Lopez here for a moment. It was 0-0 because just like against Bayern Munich, his work rate was really important, and I don't want to get him lost in the shuffle when I wind up ending this game and giving out all my compliments. He was asked to defend and come deep and help against Vini Jr. a lot in that game. As I said, with that little box of fun, Fermin had to continue to drop in deeper and deeper. He earned his start against Bayern Munich, and he deserved his start because he got this game to 0-0. 43rd minute of the game, the first yellow of the contest, Castro had to bring down Vini Jr. on the counter, but as a professional foul from Castro, because it would have been a 2v2, Vini and Mbappe out on the races, and Barcelona were all out of sorts as it just come off a set piece. So good job on Castro for the professional foul and then not getting a second yellow and losing his head in El Clásico. The kid, just like I talked with Kevin Williams on the podcast yesterday, in between the ears, these La Masia kids are just as good as they are technically or with their ability to put the ball in the back of the net. Headline 3 is Cometh the man, Cometh the hour. Let's jump ahead to the second half, and this is where we get to start to have some fun, because when De Jong comes on for Fermin Lopez, it does change spacing a little bit. Madrid's press finally sat back, and it felt like in that second half they were losing their legs just a little bit. And De Jong coming on changed the dynamic of that game. It pushed Caicedo a bit farther forward, and because Caicedo and De Jong are both threats to drive into space, it's almost kind of counterintuitive that if Lewandowski is able to drop in and create numerical overloads as he did, there was going to be even more space in behind and in between those lines between the defense and the midfield of a Real Madrid press that was starting to slow a little bit. Balde was also on the ball a lot more in that first half because, again, I had showed you on the tactics board, they just wanted Balde, that being Real Madrid, to have the ball as much as he wanted, have some fun with it, and they were going to take Bellingham and say, hey, we're going to win that physical matchup, which, again, Bellingham is like, how many, 4 or 5 inches or 10 centimeters or whatever it is, or more than Balde. And so they were expecting to win that 1v1, which Bellingham kind of did in the first half, but Balde was on the ball a lot more. And he was also a bit more confident, seemed like, in that second half, won the free kick that leads to the opening goal. Here's the 1-0, 54th minute, Lewandowski gets the goal, and Caicedo, chef's kiss for the kiddo, driving into the middle with the ball because De Jong is in a deeper position now and covering him so he can. Lewandowski making the run, and Lewandowski's run also kept onside by Ferland Mendy, who had to deal with Lamine Yamal, was kind of worried about his space and his 1v1 ability to come at him if that ball made it all the way through to the other side. And just for Lewandowski, it's a finish. Had a lot of time. Lunin was kind of stuck on his line too late. Lewandowski put in the back of the net. Before I could even finish writing down my notes for that first one, here comes the second one. 56th minute, Lewandowski gets his brace. Balde with that space on the left that I just talked about after the long ball from De Jong. So De Jong making a positive impact in this game. We can talk about the big picture stuff of who starts. I know that's going to be what everyone wants to talk about, but I don't. I just want to talk about this game because De Jong made the difference here in the second half as well, finding Balde on the long ball. And then Balde, for all the criticism he gets, I said he was better in the second half, kept his head and put that cross on a platter to Lewandowski's head as he found space in between Eder Militao and Rudiger. Now here come the stats here. 14 goals for Lewandowski in the Liga, meaning he's on pace for 40 in the Liga, which seems impossible, or at least he's on 40 on the year. That's possible, and it's like 32 at this point for the Liga, which is just incredible. Lewandowski becomes the third oldest player to get a brace in the history of El Clásico, only behind Puskás and Di Stefano, who were actually just a few days older. Di Stefano was just 22 days older, 36 years and 88 days. For Lewandowski, it's 36 years and 66 days for him. So he becomes the oldest Barcelona player in El Clásico to get a brace. Lewandowski is, again, the prime example of how to stay in shape, follow his workout regimens, I would say. Lewandowski scoring his brace in 141 seconds, also has the fastest brace in El Clásico since Josep Fuste did it against Real Madrid in less than 2 minutes on December 19th, 1965. You know I love history, and you know when El Clásico makes new history, it excites me quite a bit. Lewandowski also give you the man of the match that I usually will wait to the end to talk about, but no, Lewandowski, he had the 2 goals. I know you can talk in this next headline about the chances that he missed, but hey, the guy did everything that a youthful Barcelona team needed in a leader up top. I know he doesn't wear the captain's armband. Rafinha earned it with his work rate and all those things, but Lewandowski also was defending like heck as Real Madrid got some possession. And just against Bayern Munich, it felt like a young team that obviously has the mental fortitude to not ever wither. Lewandowski also defended and was so smart with his back to goal today, did not give the ball away in dangerous areas, seemed to have his head on his shoulders in the right way. So again, if he's going to win with the ball at his feet, and again, put the ball in the back of the net, and he can win between the ears, Barcelona have one of the best strikers, not only of his generation, but of the 21st century. Headline 4 is chances to put it away. Barcelona had chances, but so did Real Madrid. Real Madrid could have come back in this game. I don't want to forget that. 63rd minute, Tchouaméni out for Modric. This was the change that caught Ancelotti. We knew he was going to make it. At this point, Modric also becomes the oldest player in the history of El Clásico at 39 years and 47 days, surpassing Dani Alves from a few seasons ago. And as Modric arrived, the game kind of changed a bit. He immediately feeds Mbappe, and Naki Peña is forced to make another save on Mbappe. 65th minute, here comes Dani Olmo on for Costa, who was carrying the yellow. And as promised, Dani Olmo was going to find a little bit of space, as he did against Bayern Munich, because as I said, that press from Real Madrid were losing their legs a little bit. That means they were sitting more in a medium block than getting high on that press. So the 66th minute comes, Mbappe offside again, but seconds later, it's Olmo driving forward with the ball. Rafinha played the perpendicular ball to Lewandowski, but he hit the post, couldn't finish there, couldn't put the game away at that point. It also may have been offside on a check, who knows. 69th minute, Madrid pressing. They were also leaving space in behind, as I said. A few one-touch passes and Lamine Yamal popped up on the left. Lewandowski couldn't finish that one either. So yes, our nerves were a little bit high at that point, but hey, just trust Hansi Flick, trust in the system, trust that this team knows what they're doing, even after Koundé got a yellow after a tackle on Vinny Jr. And on the free kick that came in, Modric a dime to Bellingham, but he couldn't control it. Remember, Bellingham put that in. This game is 2-1, and you know how Real Madrid are when they get a little bit of momentum. In the 71st minute, Inaki Peña says, no momentum for you. Another save on Mbappe. And I will say, Inaki Peña and Alejandro Balde, a lot of credit for them because they both raised their level to what was needed for Barcelona. They felt a little bit like could have been, again, Inaki Peña was good, but he also could have been a weak link at any moment. Inaki Peña, the backup goalkeeper, could be a weak link, but he wasn't. He raised his level, as did Balde for the second half. 75th minute, Inigo Martinez got the yellow. Again, it's still just 2-0. So Barcelona had Koundé on a yellow. They had Inigo Martinez on a yellow. 76th minute, a minute later, what a tackle, Kubarsi. Huge moments. Those small little moments in the game could go either way, and they seemingly kept going to Barcelona's way, especially in the second half. First half, it seemed like the ref was blowing the whistle and calling those fouls. In the second half, Barcelona would just clean on the tackle, leave no doubt. 77th minute, kind of the final idea for Ancelotti, Brahim Diaz on for Camavinga. And then headline 5, finally, Lamine Yamal's first Clásico moment. You could actually probably call this Rafinha's first Clásico moment too. They both got their goals to put this game away. But it was that change for Brahim Diaz coming on for Camavinga. And once Tchouaméni and Camavinga were off this field, that meant there was a lot more space for Barcelona to exploit. And what do you do that Johan Cruyff, if there's one thing that's Barca DNA, if you want to call it that, it's not even Barca DNA. It's what you're supposed to do if you're an elite team in world football. Barcelona could not do that for the last few seasons, especially as they got older. So I'm talking even like 10 years ago. As Barcelona were aging, they just couldn't continue to press, and they couldn't attack, especially as Messi got a bit older. We do talk about the fact that, you know, his legs, as he aged, he just couldn't press the way he did when he was younger. Same thing with Luis Suarez. Same thing with even with Piqué, with Busquets. It's just as they aged, the quality was still there, but the legs weren't there, so they could not continue to all-out attack in second halves. As again, Barcelona went from one of the elites in Europe, and again, they aged, and there were issues with finance. You know the story. But this Barcelona team is young, they're hungry, and they've experience in important spots. So by Real Madrid putting on players that, not to say neutralize their press, but they put on more attackers, but then so did Barcelona. And the way you attack a team that's attacking you is you attack better, and you put the ball in the back of the net, and you're more clinical. So here's what Lamine Yamal did for the third goal. Lewandowski flicks a long ball that came from Peña on to Rafinha, and beautiful touch here from Rafinha off the chest, chests it down to himself in stride and centers himself. Then goes out wide to Lamine Yamal after taking that space, and Lamine Yamal goes near post, upper 90 on Lunin. Lamine Yamal surpasses Ansu Fati by about 200-plus days, becomes the youngest scorer in the history of El Clásico. Lamine Yamal continuing to make history. Lamine Yamal, the boy with the braces. Barcelona also, by starting 6 players under the age of 22 in that game, again, Kubarsi, Balde, Pedri, Fermin, Casado, and Lamine Yamal, that is something that no team has done in an official Clásico in 108 years. It was April 15th, 1916, when Real Madrid faced Barcelona in the Spanish Championship at the time. Again, this is prior to La Liga existing in 1929. They had 7 players under 22 years old again, but that was 1916. So really, in the history of modern football, 108 years, this is the youngest official team in El Clásico, and these kids were not afraid of the moment at all. 4-0, speaking of not afraid of the moment, Rafinha gets one too. First El Clásico goal for him. Inigo Martinez found him over the top. 1v1 situation with Lucas Vázquez. 6 goals in the Liga now for him. 10 goals, 8 assists in 14 games. Rafinha, you are my MVP this season for Barcelona so far, and he deserves that captain's armband for certain. 87th minute, Gavi on for Pedri for a standing ovation. The cherry on top. Here comes Gavi. Got his wrestling match in with Vinny Jr. in before the final whistle. I doubt he was saying, good luck for the rest of your season. We look forward to all the success you're going to have, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. I doubt Gavi was saying that in his ear, especially as, again, they got a little wrestling match there. 91st minute, one more offside for Mbappe for good measure, and one more save for Pena anyway, just to put, again, the cherry on top. As I said, Lewandowski, he deserves the man of the match here. Finding the third man runs, dropping in to create space, and behind, finding the space, getting the 2 goals. Good job, Lewandowski, being the guy that Barcelona, pulled those levers for, continue to put themselves in financial stress for. These are the matches that you go for broke for, right? This is why Laporta, in his lunacy of presidency, said, hey, we're going to continue to kind of put ourselves in danger. It's that cycle of victory, the cycle of virtue that Rui Barlow had said last year on the podcast, that if Barcelona win, when they win, people show up and it increases their popularity and people care. And as they win, it leads to more money, it leads to more revenue. Because again, gate revenue is such a big part of this. And if this team is flying high and fighting for the Champions League and fighting for the Liga and fighting for Copa del Rey come the spring when that Camp Nou is reopened, yeah, that puts Barcelona in a good spot. And that's going to help them, again, make up some of the distance in the broadcasting money and even all the money that Real Madrid have managed to find over these years in the pockets of Florentino Perez. 12-1 offside on Real Madrid to end this game. That is special. That is something special. Madrid also fall 1 game shy of the all-time unbeaten record at 42. Barcelona will still own that record at 43 straight unbeaten wins. And Hansi Flick also makes history. He is the second coach to beat Real Madrid away from home in his first El Clásico. The first to do it was Austrian Jack Dumby, whose real name was Richard Cohn, who won 5-1 at Chamartín in his first El Clásico in 1926. I've gotten to say things from 1916, from 1926. That's the kind of history we're talking about in this El Clásico. That's why I'm so excited. Well, I'm excited for the wins and all those things too, because the big picture is, at the end of the day, 6 points up in the Liga for Barcelona. This season is all about trophies, and I don't want to neuter the win against Bayern Munich or Real Madrid. I don't take anything away from this. I don't want to take anything away from this week, because it has been awesome to enjoy these matches, especially on the watch along, especially with the YouTube live stream. I had a good feeling this week, so I did a few new things with the content, and I'm glad I did. But these wins won't necessarily stand the test of time if Barcelona don't wind up holding trophies at the end of the season. We'll remember these memories, but it all has to come good. But up 6 points in a Liga with the head-to-head, getting those 3 points directly off Real Madrid feels pretty darn good. No, you know what? Darn good doesn't even fit. I think I could still have a clean show by saying this feels pretty damn good. I think that's what I'm going to go with here. So no explicit mark for me. It's still clean enough. But that's what that feels. It feels pretty freaking good this week to go 6 points up in the Liga and beat Bayern Munich and exercise some of those European demons. For us to continue this fun, that's next Sunday. It's an early one here in the United States. Barcelona versus Espanyol in that Catalan derby, 10:15 East Coast time, so 9:45 for the YouTube watch along. I'm going to do another live stream for that because it seems like it's a little bit of good luck. They put 4 past Bayern when I did it. They put 4 past Real Madrid when I did it, and they put 3 past Sevilla when I did it. So let's keep on rolling. That's 13 goals against Sevilla, Bayern, and Real Madrid in a matter of a week. So I'm going to rest my voice for the next 8 days. I'll probably come back again with some celebratory podcasts and content this week, of course. But at least for tonight, I think it's about time just to say thank you. Please, again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit 20,000. Hey, if Barcelona win the Champions League, I want 50. I want 100. I want that gold plaque and whatever color it is, silver, black, whatever, behind me on YouTube or on the podcast apps. Hey, if you're excited and feeling good, leave a good rating in the podcast apps. Again, as low as $3 on Patreon. I had Patreon Finn join me on the watch along today, and that was really awesome. So more Patreons. And even if you're not a Patreon, ask to come on the show with your microphone. And if I trust you, I'll keep you in. We can have a conversation, and that'll just make those watch alongs even more engaging in a way that you can even speak to me directly. So again, Patreon as low as $3 supports the show, and you can hear these without the ads over there. Twitter, Instagram, closed Facebook group, Discord. This community is growing, and if Barcelona are continuing to win, new fans will show up. They all kept going. All the kids I know seem to like Real Madrid, but if Barcelona keep winning, that's what gets people's attention, both kids and adults alike. So I'm enjoying this. I'm loving this. We were there when it was dark, and now we have seen the light of a beautiful week for Barcelona. So without further ado, let's give a good one for Barca.